Hello and welcome to the CleanSlate theme development tutorial series. My name is Adam, and today we are going to talk about blogs in CleanSlate. Specifically, we're going to talk about what blogs look like and what their templates look like. So let's get right to it. So this is the Statler College's news blog. It contains probably almost 600 articles, 600 blog posts in various categories or topics, and it's pretty nicely put together. So basically you can come through here, check out the stories. They've got a nice little post thumbnail. You can go back in pages to the second page to see older stories. So let's take a look at what this means or what this looks like from the back end. So right now I have actually logged into the Statler College of Engineering's website, and this is the blog index. This is the blog index template. This is the blog index page type, and they have a number of articles under here. I want to point out one thing real quick, that there is actually a specific blog index page type. When you create a page, you can't just create a content page and then change the template to a blog index template later. Your blog index has to be created as a blog index page type right here. So and then when you have this blog index page type, you go to add a child, and it'll list the blog article as your child page type. So that's something to keep in mind when you're creating blog articles. Also, we in CleanSlate, we truncate how many blog articles are showed up here. I think we show like 30 or 50 or something. But you're going to notice that not all of them are shown up here because it would kind of be silly to show 500 or 600 blog posts in this list. So if you want to view all of your blog posts, you can click View All Articles, and then it kind of puts them into a list here where you can kind of tab through each of the pages and see them all. You can also filter them out and use the page filters up here to do what you need to do. So just something to keep in mind. So other than that, creating blog posts is a lot like creating pages in CleanSlate. There's one subtle difference. If you look at if you go ahead and click on a blog post, you'll notice that up here in the URL, there's actually a date in the URL. And that is pretty much one of the few ways that blog articles and blog posts differ from a normal page in CleanSlate. So now that we've looked at a real-world example, let's go over to the CleanSlate toolkit and Hammer and see what the blog article and blog index template look like in the CleanSlate toolkit. I've already started Hammer. This is the CleanSlate toolkit theme that has been cloned onto my computer's hard drive. I'm going to click Views, and then just to start, I'm going to click Blog Article. And this is a very basic blog article template in our theme. So you'll notice here that it's basically just got a main content area and some related articles over here on the right. So what does that look like in the actual theme? So I'm going to go over to my CleanSlate toolkit here and click on Blog Article, and I'm going to go ahead and hide the sidebar here so we can make it a little bit bigger. Blog article templates are super similar to a normal page template. They still define a layout up here at the top. You can use partials in them, all that stuff. So yeah, all that is here essentially is, this is just HTML. There's an H1 with the page name here. So if we go back here, this is our page name. That's the H1 that is right here. There's some metadata. So for instance, the article's full name or the author's full name right here, and the time when the blog post was published. And then right here is this R editable region and the article body. So this is the main content of your editable region. All right, so that is what's showing up right here. And then in our sidebar, we have some related. I think they are related articles. Yes. So we're essentially looking for the latest 5 blog articles if we don't specify um, either some tags or some blog article IDs to exclude. And keep in mind, when I say blog article IDs, that's exactly like a page ID, and you can find them in the URL in CleanSlate of the actual blog article. So now that we've looked at what a blog article is, let's look at what the blog index looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to views and click on blog index. And you'll notice here that this is a blog index page. It lists the different blog index or the blog posts that are under our blog index. So these, for example, these blog posts are all coming from our mock data file. So let's take a look at that real quick. I'm going to hop over to the CleanSlate toolkit, open up our mock data file, and scroll down. And if you remember here, so just as a quick note, this number must match the ID of the current blog you want to display. So we are saying that we have a page ID of 2. So if I scroll down to my blog key here, we have actually, so sites can have, like for example, the Statler site or W Today, they can have multiple different blogs inside them. So we allow you to mock this up in mock data and in Hammer by using these IDs. So remember that our page ID was 2, so we need to scroll down here to check out the blog ID with 2, and this is the content for our blog index page. So for example, I could type hello world right here and go back and hit refresh. Oops, one thing I got to change here. I actually have to change this to a paragraph tag, hit refresh, and there it is, hello world. Let's talk for a minute about how this works and what the template looks like for our blog index page. So if I go back over here, I'm going to open up again my blog index template here. Let's focus on, so again, we have our default layout up here. We have a partial. You can still use partials. You can use your normal HTML tags. This is outputting the current page's name. So this is getting the content from the page key in mock data and outputting that. So that's our page name inside that H1. And then here is really the engine of our blog. This is the this our blog articles thing is our blog engine, so to speak. So basically what this is doing is it's saying, okay, remember how we had our news page and then the blog posts are all under the news page? Well, this page is essentially this code is gonna take all of the pages under the blog index, all the articles, all the blog posts under the blog index, and loop through them and return certain things. So it's going to loop through them, and first, if there are no articles, it's going to print out a message saying no blog post found. Try again later, whatever you want to put there. If there are articles, it's going to look through each one of those and output the following markup right here. So what it's going to do is it's going to output the article name wrapped in an anchor tag with the URL, which is this, okay? And then it's going to give you your blog post author's full name. It's going to give you the time of when the article is published at and formatted appropriately into a human readable format. And then it's going to essentially get content from the article body editable region. So if we go back to our blog article and we look down here, remember that this editable region was called article body, right? That's article body. It's named article body. So in our blog index, we are essentially looping through the children and pulling content from the editable region called article body. Okay, now furthermore, the one tag outside of that is actually saying, okay, limit the content that we pull in the article body to paragraph tags, which is this CSS selector bit, and limit them to 2 paragraph tags. So if you remember when I put in the heading 1 here and it didn't show up in our blog, it doesn't say hello world right here. That's because we have in the blog index limited the output to only paragraph tags. So if we wanted to do H1 here, for example, we could put this in and the H1 shows up. And keep in mind, this limit 2 is going to be 2 tags. So it's either going to be 2 paragraphs, 2 H1s, or a paragraph in H1, or an H1 and a paragraph. So you can change this as appropriate. Or perhaps, maybe you have a special region for your blog index content to show up on that doesn't show up on your blog, doesn't show up on your blog article, and you can actually even not use this rselect HTML tag if you want. So we get a lot of questions about these 3 lines of code right here. How come, when our content authors put in content and that it's not pulling onto my blog index? It's probably because this rselect HTML tag is not pulling in whatever HTML markup that is in the blog post. For example, if they somehow manage to write a blog post that has no paragraph tags in it, it's not going to pull any content into the blog index page. So that's important stuff to keep in mind. We're going to come back and revisit that and talk about how to tackle issues like that in a more robust way. But for now, I'm just going to continue on down here in our blog template. So at the bottom of our blog engine here is the read full article, and it's getting the ahref is the R article path, so the URL to the article. If we come back here, this is the read full article thing right here. You can see that here. So here we're closing the loop, the R each. We're closing if it has articles, and then down here if there are multiple blog articles. So in our case, we actually have set the default limit we'd like to display to 10, which you can change if you like later. But if there are more than 10, we can show pagination. So at the bottom here, this is our pagination, older articles, newer articles, and that is essentially our blog. Now down here in the sidebar, we have the articles RSS feed. So if we scroll up here, this is the articles RSS feed. So if you want to provide an RSS feed for your blog, that is how to do that right here. So that basically covers the basics of blogs. One thing that you might have noticed is that we do not provide comments out of the box. If you would like to use comments on your site, there are a number of systems and services that do comments. One of them is Discus. You've probably seen it online. It's pretty easy to hook up to your site, and you just follow the instructions and you can get comments working on your blog where appropriate. For example, on the W Today site, at the bottom here we have comments that are Discus right here. They give you a lot of stuff out of the box, being able to sort and upvote and all that stuff. One question that we get a lot is how do I put a feed of the recent posts from my blog onto my site's homepage? So for example, if we're on W Today, they have this latest headlines feed, which is essentially the latest stories in their blog. What you can do is you can actually go to the CleanSlate CMS help site, click on how-tos and tips, theme development, and then over here on the right, click on blog templates. And there's this frequently asked question about how do I pull articles from my blog onto my site's homepage. You can click on this link right here, and it takes us to a gist on GitHub about how to do that. And I'm going to blow this up for you right here. Basically, what you do here is you pass your blog's ID So in the example of the Statler College of Engineering, I would look at the URL for this blog, and I'm noticing it says, sites 21, pages 8581. So my blog's ID in this case is 8581, and I would put that right there. I'm going to get the articles from the blog and limit the number of articles returned to 5. And if there are articles, go through each one of them and output them in a list with the article name, and then give me the article body content and limit it to 2. So in the case of W Today, they are essentially just outputting this line 6 and outputting the name. Okay, so if I go back to W Today, this is just, the name, the article title outputted, whereas this code right here is actually going to give you the article name and some article content that you can put onto your homepage. So that is essentially the way to output a blog feed onto your site's homepage from within CleanSlate. So I should mention that this only works if the blog and the homepage are on the same site. If you have a different site and want to pull your blog post there, you should use your blog's RSS feed. So how do you get your blog's RSS feed? Well, so for example, this is the Statler blog, right? And it's the permalink for the blog is news. If I just add .rss on the end of it, I can actually get the RSS feed for this blog. Now that I have the RSS feed, I can copy it, go to a different site. So I'm going to go to the CleanSlate demo site, and I just want to put it on any kind of page here. Maybe I'm going to edit this new page right here. I'm going to go here and add a snippet, and I'm actually going to add the RSS feed snippet right here, paste in the feed URL, and you can add a limit, add an HTML class, whatever, and insert the snippet. And it will generate an unordered list of your blog's posts. So that is how you would take a blog, take a feed from a blog on one site and display it on another site, a different site. So some people have contacted us about wondering, how do you customize what is pulled in from the RSS snippet? And if you actually look in the CleanSlate toolkit here, that you'll have this, there's a blog index.html file right here, and then there's also a blog index.rss file. And every blog index can have an identically named .rss file, so blog index.html, blog index.rss, and then pull in a partial, or just put in your RSS feeds code right here. We have a shared partial for our blog index that's pulling from the code theme. So if you are looking to customize your blog index's RSS feed, you can kind of take this code in the code theme right here in this _blog index -v1.rss feed and copy and paste it into this blog index.rss file, or whatever the name of your blog index template is. Why would you want to do that? Well, maybe, again, we have this rselect HTML CSS selector thing here going on. Maybe you don't want to, maybe you want to point this at a different region for your article content, something like that. You can essentially customize it on your own in your own templates. So that about wraps up the first part of our blog series. In the next video, we're going to talk about some more advanced things that you can do with blogs. For example, adding tags or labels and filtering on tags or labels, creating specific editable regions to pull into your blog index page, or customizing what that looks like in edit mode and making accessible read more, so the read full article, making accessible read more links, and where to find help and documentation. So stick with us.